All right, welcome back to an episode of the Small Guys Podcast. Today we're reviewing Caddo Lake, HBO original, Max original. When an 8-year-old girl disappears on Caddo Lake, a series of past deaths and disappearances begin to link together, altering a broken family's history. This movie has a 76% critic score and an 81% audience score. Aiden, you watched this a couple weeks ago when it came out, October 10th.
I did.
You recommended it. I thought it was a horror mystery movie. It is more of like a thriller mystery. I would say just more of a mystery in general.
Yeah.
But
I'd say
I
mystery
really
thriller.
enjoyed it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I believe Shyamalan's a producer on the movie.
Yep. So that's why, I knew that it was going to be an HBO film. This didn't release in theaters. I saw that he was kind of marketing it. He was, pushing it out, and he had credits on it. So he's one of the producers that are. Looks like there's 4 of them. So seeing that Shyamalan's on it, you're expecting a horror movie, because most of his are, I would say. But yeah, I mean, this one, I had nothing to watch. I watched it, on release day, October 10th. And I don't know if you remember, but I was texting the group chat. I'm like, someone has to watch this. Like, no one's seen it. And I'm like, oh, we need to talk about it. Because it's one of those movies where, like a mystery thriller where you kind of have to look stuff up after, to get I think they do a good job, at the end, wrapping it all up. But I feel like they show a decent chunk in the beginning of the movie off rip, for those that have seen it, showing Dylan O'Brien's character. Yeah, Dylan O'Brien's character in the car with his mother. And, they're like, not on Caddo Lake, but they're on the dam that connects to Caddo Lake that filled it. And, it looks like they go off the road and he's able to escape, but she drowns in the car, right?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, throughout the entire movie, he's obviously, I think people will consider him crazy because all he wants to do is just solve,
he's got survivor's guilt almost. Yeah,
survivor's guilt. Yeah, he's trying to why her and not me, basically. But he thinks that there's some kind of pattern to it.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I told you, the more you talk about it, the more because my memory's kind of jagged.
Yeah.
But I just remember that part, and then knowing throughout the entire movie, you never see his mother's face. I'm pretty sure he didn't go to his own mom's funeral, all stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
you see her really, really quick at the beginning of the movie, but it's dark and everything. So yeah. This movie, I went in blind into it, and I'm happy I did. I feel like they didn't market this movie a ton. The only reason I saw the picture of it, I kept seeing the poster of it or whatever, is because I kept going on Max to watch The Penguin every week. So I kept seeing Caddo Lake. And then you were texting about it, and I'm like, okay, so eventually I have to check this out. And then this week I was like, let's watch it, because I feel like there's a good amount of stuff to talk about. I'm hearing a lot of good things. It reminded me a little bit at first, because this 8-year-old girl goes missing, a little bit of Prisoners in a way. I was like, are we going that route? And then once I figured out that time travel was involved, it reminded me a lot of Dark, which is a show on Netflix that's really good.
So I've heard Dark's really good. I have not watched it.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of this. And that's also a mystery thriller. But yeah, I was not expecting time travel at all. So I was shocked when we got that. Didn't mind it at all. The way they did it was cool. Yeah. But yeah, we follow basically 2 different characters, Paris and Ellie. And there's a lot of moments where they're both at this lake, right? So it's a huge storyline that Ellie's sister Anna is missing, and they can't find her and everything like that. And every time we're on Paris's character and watching Paris, this Anna character is never even brought up, that she's missing. You don't see these helicopters and boats going around, which should be a clue that they're in 2 different times, 2 different years. And
I think they do a good job of hiding that.
Right, yeah, I never.
Which is you have no idea. You're you're waiting for him to watch the TV, and it's something completely, different. So then that's where, it gets good because, what is he? He's a a pipe fitter like for Caddo Lake, or he's working for like the dam company, whatever.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and you know he like goes to a certain section, and you know he's kind of going through tears in time, and they
Yeah.
don't really. I don't think they ever make. They never explain it. You
No,
know
they never
enough.
say the word time travel or anything.
No, never. Like he just stumbles upon it, and then yeah, I don't know. It was
It's
different
like a
between
seizure-like
him.
aspect when it happens to them too.
Yeah,
You just start to
and that was
bleed.
another thing is because remember his mom would she would seize, or she would like twitch,
Yeah.
and you know we'll talk more about the end, but it all makes sense at the end.
Right. Yeah. So that's really cool. I- it's crazy too because like when you think back at on the first act of the movie after watching it, you're like,
Hmm.
damn, there's like that the alligator showing up, right? It's like
Yeah,
cut in half perfectly,
hmm,
or they find I
the
think Anna
boat's
finds a
missing.
yeah yeah right, and Anna finds like a butterfly that's supposed to be extinct, but it's not.
Hmm.
Like she has it, right? So it's like how could it be extinct? So there's like little things like that where I feel like this movie does have a lot of rewatchability because it's short too. It's like a
Yeah,
little over 90 minutes, but also you would pick up so much more stuff going through it again.
100%. And I mean that's where you know like what is it kind of the middle of the movie, because we see it's one of those movies where you watch the first half, and then they you know once they realize that they're going back in time, you know two different people are in the same area going through the same thing, like the zone of Caddo Lake that is you know putting them either in the past or in the future,
Yeah.
and without them knowing, they're the only two that know. And you know, even when what was the younger girl's name? Ellie,
Anna.
Anna. Yeah, when
Yeah,
Anna like
Ellie's
stumbles up.
Ellie's one of the main characters,
Yeah,
the
Ellie
older
was the other
sister.
girl.
Yeah,
But you know, they go and it's like, you know, like we just mentioned, she's got that butterfly. She's missing the boat when she just pulled up in it. You know, like a second later, like the boat's missing, like stuff like that.
yeah,
And you know, I don't know. I think then you know, like I was mentioning, it's one of those movies where they go back. So now we're redoing the entire first half or the
yeah.
first act, and just like, oh, now we know why the boat's missing. Now we know why the you know the butter
Right.
she has a butterfly. Now we know why you know she's missing stuff like that. So
Yeah. So when Ellie sees herself and the future her steals the boat, it's like, oh wow, okay, that's why that happened. And then so she tries to travel again, and she comes out like a month before the events happen. She sees her little sister struggling on the boat. She takes her home. At that point, I'm almost like, you should just stay there and just
hmm,
try to live there for a month. You know what I mean? Like, how do you know when you go through the portal again or whatever? It might not. It might spit you out in the 50s, like what happens
yeah,
to Paris, right? So it's
hmm,
like you're playing with time here, but also there's another Ellie running around, right? So it's
yeah.
like,
So that was the craziest thing when she goes back and she sees
yeah,
herself, like,
yeah,
oh shit, like she's hiding. You know, we've
right,
seen so many time travel movies, and all of them have different rules. You
yeah,
know, like oh, you can't interact with you know your
past
what
self,
past
or
self or future self, you know, stuff like that. Like I mean, just look at Back to the Future, like you know, you start disappearing and shit like that.
yeah,
Um, so I thought that was cool. And then I mean, a lot of this, like we can't really talk about it without going straight to the end. So
yeah. We
like
can
another
if
thing
you
I'm going to
want.
mention, well, one thing I'm going to mention is um Ellie, the older sister, you know, obviously Anna's her younger sister. She's at like that teenage where she's arguing with her mom, and then you know she goes in the past, she goes back a month,
Yeah,
and her mom's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like blah blah blah. Like you just you know blew up on me, and she's like, "What?" Like that's when she's realizing that she went back in time,
yeah,
and you know she's reliving those moments that she just had.
which is
Because I
so
don't think this
cool.
movie really takes the span of it is like a couple days, you
Yeah,
know, obviously without the time travel, like stuff like that. But
yeah, and so one of the cool moments of this movie is when Ellie and Paris are both following that rope around the trees, and you
mhm,
think at a certain moment they're going to cross paths, right? That's what I
yeah,
thought was going to happen. I didn't know. I'm like, the editing's kind of weird here. I don't know what's going to happen. They never cross paths ever in this movie, and so there's a scene where they're holding the rope and walking, and you see in the background of Paris that the bridge is like newish, and then in
mhm,
Ellie's scene, the same bridge is rusty and broken down, and like that right there is like, oh shit, they still are in different times, right? So
yeah,
it's like Paris's timeline takes place in 2003. We figure out that he's missing for 2 years when she time travels back to 2005, and then her time takes place in the present 2022. So
Yeah.
I went pretty much the whole first half of the movie not really picking up on the fact that they're in two different times, which I think that's what they're trying to do. But
Yeah.
it's something cool that you can notice the second time around because
Yeah. So I mean, just to go like I think like at that part of the movie, like the third quarter, I would call that like
yeah,
it's kind of confusing, when they're going, because one thing we didn't mention is Ellie has a mother, she has a stepdad, and
yeah,
she doesn't know her father.
right.
The whole like beginning of the movie, she's arguing with her mom, like she's trying to get her papers, for college, or maybe she's just trying to research it herself. I can't remember,
Yeah,
but
she's looking for a death certificate in the
yeah,
room.
because she just wants to know, like, no, I think he's missing. Like, I don't think he's dead.
Right.
And then we go, and this is before like which time period they're each in,
Yeah.
and then she loses her sister, so she's missing her sister at a young age, and they were already both missing their dad.
Yeah, and she feels bad that her sister's missing because her sister came to look for her after she left the house.
Yeah, so
So she
now
has guilt as well.
yeah, so now we jump to the semi end where it all comes together and it ties together and makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess one thing I should
Well,
add, I want to add the scratch, because
oh yeah, yeah.
remember in the main timeline for Ellie, um, her mom thought that she saw her, uh, it was the dad, because you remember they went missing, or he went
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah.
Some girl comes up, scratches the mom, attacks her, and she says that, oh, it's his new girlfriend, new wife, and she
Yeah.
was
She's like, you were screaming as a baby.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then you go, and then it comes back to I'm so bad at
That
explaining this.
scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that scene, and then she goes, and then she realizes after she scratches her mom, because she doesn't know what she looked like, I guess, back then.
Yeah.
And and that was kind of throwing me off too, because the character that plays his girlfriend at the time, the redheaded younger girl,
Yeah.
doesn't really look too much like the mom.
No, but her name is C.
Yeah,
It's CEE, and the
yeah,
mom's name's Celeste.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like,
But
holy
see,
shit.
that's why like you got to go back and rewatch it. Like I might
Yeah.
rewatch this because
Yeah.
it'll make more sense. But they go, and that was always a story that she told, and then Ellie goes too far back in time to where like she's reenacting this. The dad's missing. She's handing out flyers, and then
Yeah.
she assumes that Ellie is the dad's new girlfriend. Blah blah blah, whatever. And then what is it?
Well, like
He
Paris
goes.
at one
He
point
goes in the
finds
future.
Well, Paris at one point finds two different versions of his mom's necklace. He finds
Yeah.
one in the lake, which we later figure out Ellie dropped it, right,
Hmm.
by going around those trees. That was crazy to see that.
Yeah.
Um, like little things like that. But yeah, Paris finds Anna, who went through the portal on
Mhm.
accident in 1952, and she's like wounded. She is like a branch that
Yeah, she got
uh,
stabbed. She was
yeah,
impaled.
in the back. Yeah, so he finally finds help. We figure out where those like cannon explosions are going off. It's them building the dam and
Yeah,
getting
because they're
that
blowing it
situated.
up, and
Yeah, so he gives her to some people in 1952, then walks away, and I'm like, oh my god, he's like never gonna get her back, right? Like she's just gonna grow
well,
up there,
but
have a whole
so real
life.
quick, I got to stop you because he has
Yeah,
no idea who it is. He thinks it's
no,
just some young little girl,
hmm
and he's like, oh,
but
she
she's
went through the
dressed pretty
portal.
modern. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's
dressed
dressed
pretty.
very modern, and then that's when you go in. He's dressed modern too,
Yeah,
not as modern, but then you show up and you're watching. It's like, oh, like where are they? And
right.
I didn't know the times, and I'm glad you're stating the years and stuff like that, because they go, and he just sees this girl that's hurt, and they have old trucks. These guys are in overalls, top hats,
Yeah,
industrial revolution, style, like in that era. And, they don't even speak like the same English that he's speaking.
no,
Um, and he goes and he just drops them off. And then they're like, hey, where'd you come from? Like all this stuff. And he's like, and he's kind of, lost in his own head. And he just like goes back, and he's like, I got to get back to wherever I was. And
right.
he has no idea.
No,
So then I'm just gonna say, come to find out, the little girl that he saves, Ellie's younger sister, who's
Anna.
missing, went
Yeah.
Anna goes through the portal, we'll call it, through the
Hmm.
rift, whatever, and she goes back to 1950. So she is young. She's what, maybe 6, 9 years
8.
old, 8. She's 8 in
Hmm.
1950, and he drops this girl off, like saving her life.
Yeah.
Come to find out, that was his mother. He saved his own mother's life, took her from the future,
Yeah.
and then brought her to 1950. She grows up, you know,
Has a
obviously
whole
has
life.
him, has a whole life, and
Yeah.
and she even, and I want
Class
to jump around.
clown. She gets married.
Yeah,
Dude,
she gets
the
married.
scene where Ellie is in that library in 2005
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
computer
Google,
was the best scene. The
dude,
best
so
scene.
good.
Her watching her younger sister grow up before her eyes on this computer
Yeah, because
was
Ellie or
amazing.
Anna is missing, and Ellie's just trying to figure out where she went.
Yeah.
And then she goes to 2005 in a computer. She's like, "Yeah, go ahead. Like the first hour's free or whatever it said." And
Yeah.
that's how it was back in 2005. They go and she, Google's. How did she figure that out?
So she Googled Paris. I think
Paris.
she started doing that because Paris was missing. And then she looked up Paris's mom because
Yeah.
C, who
Yep.
attacks
Yep.
her, said this is his mom's necklace. So
Mm-hmm.
like that's and she knows it's Anna's necklace. So
Yep.
like that's when she starts looking it up, and then so she types her name in, Anna's name in, and that's where she finds it. So and at that point, Ellie knows like, oh, my sister just lived an entire life. Like there's no getting her back.
She's fine.
Right.
And then
Yeah. Like
that's the
there's
thing too, is that's what's
she's
crazy,
gone.
because you can go off on a tangent about this, because he realizes, I don't think he ever realizes that that was his mom that he saved.
No, so he does because he tells his dad, who's sick in the hospital when he's in the future,
Oh, you're right. Yep. And
that
then
hey, I
he goes on the
saved mom.
chase.
Yeah,
And then the other thing about Ellie's character is that, she's back in 2005. She has to somewhat get back to the present.
yeah,
And she's now realizing that Anna's her grandmother.
yeah,
So then again, like, see, you can pick it apart. You can say, like, all right, well, if that's her grandma, then, like, how is there not, like, there's blood relation?
yeah. Because
Like,
the time
how
loop
can it
can't
be her sister
happen
and her
until
grandma?
Anna's born, which she's not born until like 2015, 2014. So it's like, how could she? I don't know. Like it's weird, right? Like
Because
the
but
time,
then she would know, like, oh, my grandma passed away in a car accident.
right?
But then she would have known, like, I don't know, because
Yeah,
Anna still would have been there,
right,
and their grandma would have been there.
right.
So then
Yeah,
there's
so it's
what? There's
weird.
an older version of Anna while younger Anna's still alive. Like, that's something that doesn't make sense now that we talk about it. But then
Yeah,
again, I mean, I don't know, because it's not like him putting her altered. Maybe him putting Anna in the 1950 altered his life.
yeah, because he wouldn't have been born without her,
No,
right? So it's like,
it doesn't make
but
any
how?
sense.
But if he wasn't born, then how the hell was she born?
Yeah,
Well, I guess because Ellie and Anna have different dads, so maybe Ellie was never born. Anna
yeah, that's
was
true.
born. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then so Anna, that's probably how that happened. And then because
Okay,
it's got to
so
happen like
Paris
that.
wasn't Anna's dad,
No,
just Ellie.
yeah, just Ellie.
Okay,
Paris
all right,
is
then that makes more
Anna's
sense.
technically Paris's mom.
Yeah, Anna
Yeah,
is
so
Paris's mom.
yeah, so Paris and Ellie, the only relation they have
So
is they're
yeah,
half sisters,
so
basically.
so
Their
now it
mom.
makes sense. So now we're gonna go back to how Paris. Paris got in a car accident with his mom. She drowned because she had a seizure while she was driving, and she knew
Yeah,
that she had these seizures. But it goes back because when they're each going through the rifts, they're both having seizures. So she lived her whole life in a universe or a timeline where she was picked from the future and brought to the past. So
yeah,
that's why she was, seizing and, like,
yeah,
basically,
because it
I
probably
guess
has
you would
long
say
term
glitching.
effects like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, but she's obviously not where she needs to be. So,
right.
that. But I don't know. It's crazy. And also, you got to think, because he knows his mother's name, when he travels to the
Future.
future, he
Yeah,
sees that she's missing.
right.
So I don't think they
And
ever
that's when he
make, like,
puts together
oh,
that,
okay.
oh, that's my mom because the name on
Yeah.
the TV.
And
And then that's when he sees his dad. And so his dad in 2005 is like he's got this like nasty cough or whatever, but he sees him, in 2022 on his deathbed, basically, and he's like, I'm going back. Like that's the thing is like him and Ellie both just try to get back to their families, back to their times, and Paris unfortunately is being chased. And of course, when he jumps in the water, that's when the dam blows up. And once the dam blows up, like you can't time travel anymore because all that water is going to be over those trees and everything like that because there's way more water. So like you wouldn't be able to go back. So he's kind of in a time crunch here where he has to hurry to get back.
Mm-hmm.
So
then
of course the dam blows up when he jumps.
Yeah, he does that, and then he passes away. So then she finds out that. So now Ellie knows that, and she goes back to her mom.
Yeah, and you see Paris steal the car from his ex, basically.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Whoa!" Like,
but because remember she said like, "Oh, like some guy stole my car, a while back, and it looked just like your dad." Which I mean, like, he looks identical. So like, she would have stopped and be like, "Paris, like, is that you?" Like, no, it's just like, "Hey, give my car back."
Yeah.
I guess it was raining, but it doesn't really.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah, I mean. But yeah, I mean, I that's what I'm saying. Like, I think from start to finish, like, it was just like, I think at one point it got a little confusing, but then it all wraps up in the end. And, and now that Ellie gets back to her present, and she tells her mom they're all panicking because the whole city, the whole town is looking for Anna still. And she's like, Mom, like, she's fine. Like, and I think she printed something too. She
has like the yearbook picture. Like that.
And then it shows like, so she knows that she's fine. And then she realized.
Which modern day you could Google it still too.
Yeah, 100%. And now it like brings them peace. But then it's like, how do you explain that any further from.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only two people that know. And I didn't know if the mom was going to believe her completely. Like when she was going to go tell her.
Just because she had the printout, that's what helped her.
Right.
And then she realizes like, oh, my dad tried to get back. I don't know.
And then it's on the news.
Does Ellie know that Paris took her mom from the future and put her in the past?
I don't know if she knows that.
I think only
she knows Paris is. She does know at the end of the movie that Paris is her dad.
Yeah.
And that he must have gone through the portal because it was 2022 or modern time, and he just drowned like a day ago. And he had their boat, which makes the cops think that he was involved with the missing child. Obviously.
Yeah.
Plus the fact he's running and not really trying to explain anything.
No.
But
yeah, I mean, I would say it's like an original movie. I mean, you can compare it to a lot of like, I guess the only thing you would compare it to is time travel, but I think like the twist and the story itself, like, is something we've never seen before. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and again, I thought it was going to be like a bunch of missing kids or I didn't know what to expect. And the first like half an hour, you're just trying to figure out like, what's the family tree here? What's I didn't know if like it was going to be like a romantic movie at some point. Like I didn't know if Paris and C were going to break up and then Paris would start dating Ellie or they'd become friends. I didn't know. But like they never even shoot a scene together throughout this whole movie. They're both the main characters in the movie that we're following, which is crazy to think about too.
No, it's nuts.
Because I thought at the end, I'm like, oh, they never even crossed paths once.
No, and that's why in as many like shots as they had where they were in the same exact spot, but just in different years, like,
right?
I don't know. I just thought I thought it was cool. I think they did a really good job on it.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it was a good call for them to Celine Held is her name. I don't know what else she directed.
Put it on Max and not in the theater?
Not in theaters, yeah.
No, I mean every time they put something strictly on streaming and it's good, which is like a random, the percentage is so low on it. It's always hit or miss. But every time there is a good one, like we always wish we would have seen it in theaters. I think this would have been a great theater movie.
I do too, but like
it had a good action, it had, it was thrilling.
Well, we're big movie fans, but like I didn't really, I mean, I guess it was on the HBO homepage, but like unless you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have seen this movie. And so I feel like it's like almost underrated, even though it's only been out for 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I haven't seen anything on it. I haven't seen good reviews. I haven't seen bad reviews. I haven't seen anyone talking about it. So I don't think it's probably not getting as much traction,
Right.
as it should.
And she's not like a big director. She really hasn't directed much. Whereas if Shyamalan did it, right, Shyamalan has his following, has his fans, and so people would go watch it.
Yeah.
Not that it necessarily has like a huge Shyamalan twist or whatever. I mean, I guess there is.
I think it does.
Yeah.
But not entirely what you're talking
Not his
about.
style, I guess, though.
Yeah.
Because he almost has like a little bit of a horror aspect to his movies, I feel like, to a certain degree.
Yeah. So it looks like Logan George and Celine Held, they're like a duo. But they've done a lot of like small, like Sundance type films.
Yeah, the only thing I knew about it going in was that Dylan O'Brien was in it, and I'm a fan of his. I think he's just a really, really good actor. Yeah, so in this movie he did a great job.
Oh yeah,
really great job.
Yeah, I mean another thing too is like the marketing. Like one thing that they don't do is advertise streaming movies at a theater.
Yeah.
Never. So I mean, you got to think the only time we really watch trailers, unless it's something big, highly anticipated, we see it on Twitter or Instagram, something like that.
TikTok.
But yeah, I mean, I think I may have seen a trailer for this because I probably follow Max.
Yeah.
But it was probably like months ago. But I'm glad I watched it.
And I think for most people, if you watch this movie, you'll understand, pretty much everything. I did go and watch like an explained video on YouTube, and the person I was watching said something similar to us, like it just wasn't advertised enough, and which really sucks because he just feels like a lot of people aren't going to be able to experience this movie or see it just because they don't know about it, right? So, but he really liked it a lot too, and he was pointing out things that like I even missed as well. Yeah. Like that bridge scene where they're both in the same spot. Like he caught that. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that Paris was in a different time really until Ellie sees her past mom with the baby and where they're in the car. Like that's when I figured it out. Like holy shit.
That part, because I think it was before he saves.
That's before the
Anna,
library. Right? No, so it's after Anna. So I knew it was a time travel movie. I just thought they were in the same time period. And they both just went back in time. That's what I thought.
I mean, I knew, like, I guess it kind of makes sense. I don't know.
And I'm stupid, so it could have been
like, the fact that when he went to
earlier.
1950, like, I'm like, oh, all right. Like, they're completely, like, they're both
I just thought they're both from 2022.
Yeah. Until, like, who was it? Was it Anna or was it Paris that asked someone, like, what year is it? I think it's Anna. Or not Anna, Ellie.
Yeah. She sees the 2005, like, election picture or whatever.
Yeah, that's what it was when she goes.
Yeah, and then she sees C, and I'm like, whoa! I'm like, 2005. Like, what? Did she time travel too? Like, I was like so stupid. But now, obviously it makes sense. So I really do want to rewatch this just to catch all that stuff. Because again, I think I'd enjoy the first half of the movie more now.
100%.
That I understand like everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And the fact that the dam explodes and like you can't time travel anymore is pretty. A cool aspect too.
Yeah. I didn't know that was once the dam blows, like it's over.
Yeah, because there's so much water, you can't walk by those trees anymore. Yeah. In that little marshy area. But yeah.
Right.
All right. So do you want to move to scores here?
Let's go into scores. I can start off. I mean, now that I've had a month to.
You clearly recommended it to people.
Yep, I have. I've been recommending it, and everyone that I've talked to, they're like, "What is that?" No one's ever heard of it, so that's a shame. But I think I love thrillers. I love mysteries. I don't think this has any horror in it. Realistically, I definitely did expect some horror going to see it, or when I started it. But I'd highly recommend it to to anyone because like we're gonna say in a year it's a sleeper movie. Like no one's gonna be talking about it. It's already been a month. No one's talking about it. I don't know. I feel confident giving it like. I'm done giving crazy scores.
Again, audiences gave it an 81.
So I'm going to 86. 86 sounds good. There's nothing that I can really pick about it. I mean, the more that we talk about it and like. All right, so who's Anna's grandma or who's Ellie's grandma realistically because Paris is her dad? How does the mom not know that that's Paris that steals her car? Shit like that. But I mean, it's a movie. take it as it is. And, you know, the more we talk about it, the more I did enjoy it. So I think these directors did a great job. I'm excited to see what they do. And hopefully, I mean, I don't even know if it's a budget thing on why, you know, directors get certain movies that are streaming only. You know, but I'm excited to see what, you know, what comes from these two, especially after this. I hope more people see it.
Yeah,
And, you know, M. Night should produce more. I think he did a good
you
job.
should. Yeah,
You know, I mean,
yeah.
his movies himself that he writes, because he writes them all by himself.
Right.
And
Yeah, and I
he
don't
did a
know
good
if this
job.
was just a screenplay that was written or if it was based off a book. It'd make probably a good book if I had to guess.
Oh, it'd be a great book.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not too far off from where you're at. I think I'm gonna go with an 84. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm definitely probably gonna rewatch it. You know, in the future. I just watched it today, so I won't watch it again tonight. But I really did enjoy it. I'm gonna recommend it to people as well. And yeah, because that second half is just crazy, and then that's all I can really tell people. I don't want to spoil anything for them, but I think it's best if you went into this movie just completely blind. So if you listen to this whole thing and you haven't seen it, I think you should still go watch it. But it's better just to go in blind, not knowing what the hell's going on, because
Yeah, 100%.
it's a crazy ride.
And like I said, I mean, I don't even think I watched a trailer for it. I think maybe I may have seen like a bit, or like maybe just the part where, you know, the one thing I remember seeing in the trailer is him driving the skiff, and
Yeah.
you know, it flies up.
Yeah,
You know,
Pretty
when he
sure
crashes.
from
So
cops.
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking too. I was like, oh, there's like some, you know, monster or something in Caddo Lake, and this is like what they're fighting
Loch
against.
Ness
or, like,
Monster.
yeah, or like something like that, or like like it's more of an action movie, like someone pulled a rope and just like, you know, lifted his boat, but it was nothing like that. I was completely like a 180 on what I expected. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
And I was thinking too, I was like, just take someone and show them what's happening. But he does try to do that. He brings his girlfriend there. But at that point, it's kind of rainy, so it's like the water's kind of high and nothing's happening.
yeah,
So he tries to show someone that, hey, something weird's happening here. But yeah, it's a really good movie. A lot of twists, a lot of turns.
yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. So
Yeah, Dylan O'Brien did great. I can't remember the last thing that he was in, but I mean, what is it?
Maze Runner
American
movie, you seen?
Assassin was like the last thing I remember.
Oh, okay, yep. That's a good movie.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think what else he's been in recently. He was in a Curb episode that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So that was
I know
good.
he did what did he do? A Taylor Swift music video?
Yeah. All too well. With a redhead. He's into redheads.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was our review of Caddo Lake. Thank you guys for listening. We got Penguin ending soon. I think the last
How many episodes are there?
I think it's
8?
8. Yeah.
6 is
so
out.
It's,
So
right.
7's
So it
coming
should
out
be done
week.
this month. Yeah. So we will review that as a show. And then later on this month, we got Gladiator 2 coming out in November. So
Gotta buy tickets to that.
yeah, I'm excited to see that. So,
Oh,
but thank you guys for listening, and we will see you
Appreciate
guys
it.
next time.
Peace out.